I'll send her out to make more if we need it. Everybody got some? Oh, and pick up some 3-in-1 as well. We just ran out of that. Well, it's the end of the week. Friday morning, we made it. We made it. Tomorrow we can sleep in. Maybe. Depends what's on the list of chores. Well, let's gather around and find out what's happening in Canada today. First, a look at the weather. It was a beautiful sunny day here in Edmonton. We got up to 11 degrees. The snow is melting, but it's going to be another couple of weeks before it's all gone. Now, our street scene today is a little bit different. I thought we needed some variety, so we have one here from Vancouver, British Columbia. This street scene was sent to me by Shirley Erlina. Shirley, thank you for the video. You can see the cherry blossoms in bloom. You know, my wife loves cherry blossoms. Reminds her of her days in Vancouver. In Vancouver today, it was sunny and 15 degrees. Elsewhere in the country, on the prairies, temperatures in Alberta ranged from 9 degrees to 11 degrees like we were here. Next door in Saskatchewan and over one in Manitoba, just above the freezing mark, about 2 degrees. In Ontario, Toronto's still cooling down, only 2 degrees there. 4 degrees in Ottawa, and both cities reporting partly sunny skies. Montreal, 5 degrees with a few clouds, and that was also the picture in the Atlantic provinces. Again, partly cloudy, 5 degrees. So other than the West Coast, the spring temperatures appear to be stalled. We can't wait for it to come. Oh, before we get to the news, is anyone here a Celine Dion fan? You know the singer? Okay, stick around because she has a message for us at the end of the broadcast. Topping the news today, comments by U.S. President Donald Trump that he would like to see the Canada-U.S. border open sooner rather than later. Trump says Canada is doing well in its efforts to control the spread of COVID-19, and as a result, the border should open. But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says, no, there's no plans to adhere to an American timetable. Trudeau says the issue came up this morning in a conference call of G7 leaders.
A recognition by the president, as I've highlighted many times, that the closeness, the collaboration, the friendship between Canada and the United States is quite unlike any other. And therefore, the work that we continue to do to keep our citizens safe while coordinating very carefully is unlike our approaches with other countries around the world. There's a recognition that as we move forward, there will be special thought given to this relationship. But at the same time, we know that there is a significant amount of time still before we can talk about loosening such restrictions.
Now, does Trudeau expect Trump to retaliate if Canada delays reopening the border?
The coordination and collaboration between Canada and the United States on this issue and on all issues has been entirely exemplary. The reflection that the president shared was one of how close we are and how the status of the Canada-U.S. relationship is different than the status of relationships that we have with other countries around the world. There was a recognition that we will do things perhaps differently than other countries, but there is still a recognition that we need to continue holding that the measures that we have in place for a good while to come still.
While Trump is anxious to get his country's economy going as soon as possible, Canadian leaders are urging caution to prevent a second wave of the coronavirus infection. Well, here's what the numbers look like now. Nearly 29,000 cases in Canada. There have been 1,048 deaths. 910 of them were in Ontario and Quebec. That's 86%. BC and Alberta, the next highest, 75 deaths in BC, 48 in Alberta. You know, so many of these deaths, about half, are linked to seniors' homes. We've talked about this before. Our public health officer, our chief public health officer, Dr. Theresa Tam, again says we have to double down on social distancing. We've got to prevent outbreaks in high-risk settings. And this not only includes seniors' homes and long-term care facilities, but Tam says the homeless population, those in precarious housing situations, they're also at high risk. She says we need action on this now. If not, there will be more outbreaks, there will be more deaths that she calls, and this is her words, preventable deaths. So that's why the situation has got to come under control in Ontario and Quebec. That curve has to be flattened before we can loosen any kind of restrictions. There doesn't seem to be any political appetite for it here. We've had no calls from politicians to jumpstart the economy. One thing I did notice over the last couple of days, there's more traffic on the road. I'm wondering whether it's because some people have been rehired because of that government subsidy, or it's just people driving around because they're tired of being housebound. I really hope people continue to observe the restrictions here and stay at home so that we can beat this virus. Full disclosure here, I'm out every day because I work in an essential industry. I have no choice but to go to work. My job involves driving. There's no way I can work from home. But again, on behalf of all those out there who are serving you, caring for the health of your friends and relatives, please stay at home. Well, the Canadian government has come up with rent assistance to help small businesses who have been forced to close their doors due to lockdowns. This should come as good news to a number of people I know in the Philippine community in Edmonton. These are the people who have restaurants, hair salons, dental studios, physiotherapy practices, and many other businesses that have been deemed non-essential. They can no longer operate. Prime Minister Trudeau says details are being worked out so that while their businesses are closed, while they're not bringing any money in, they'll at least have some money to pay the rent. You know, small businesses have pointed out they're the country's largest employer. Yeah, you've got the Amazons and other big companies that employ thousands of workers, but small businesses, they employ hundreds of thousands of workers. So if they go broke, there's no jobs to go back to get the economy going again. Again, it's good to see the government has responded here. You know, over the years, a number of Filipinos who came to Canada were employed in Alberta's oil industry, particularly in the oil sands of northern Alberta. Many of you have probably heard relatives or friends here tell you about a place called Fort McMurray. It was also in the news a few years ago because of the wildfires. You might recall a good part of that city was destroyed, and the fires forced the evacuation of the entire community. Well, the oil sands are back in the news again, this time because of an outbreak of COVID-19 in a work camp. Alberta's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, says a trio of workers has tested positive.
Currently, 3 people connected with this work camp have tested positive for COVID-19. 6 more individuals connected with the work camp were tested yesterday and are currently isolating. Their results are expected shortly. Alberta Health Services continues to work closely with the company to implement outbreak procedures at the site and to minimize any risk of transmission.
Some labor leaders say the work camps should be shut down, but, you know, on projects like these, it's just not that simple. These are very complex plants, and many times the only circumstances they would shut down a plant like this would be if it were being decommissioned. Well, the pandemic has also had an effect on mental health. Yesterday, we told you the federal government in Canada announced an online resource to help people connect with mental health practitioners. In our province, Premier Jason Kenney went a step further here, and his government surveyed people and asked them, how is the pandemic affecting your outlook?
And it indicates that 74% of Albertans feel that their mental health has been impacted by the pandemic, and 34% report that they are feeling, quotes, depressed or hopeless at least some days every week. Many people are feeling nervous, scared, or lonely, and almost half of those surveyed are worried about their future.
Running out of time here. I'm running a bit over time, so we're going to go right now to what I promised before. Canadian singer Celine Dion. She's not going to do a concert for us, although there's one coming up. She's urging her fans, though, to respect the stay-at-home orders. This video was shot in her kitchen. She did an English version and a French version. And In it, she gives a heartfelt thank you to frontline workers who, she says, risk their lives every day to serve us.
We cannot thank all of you enough. We salute your bravery and we pray for you. Thank you so very much for the heroic work that you are doing for our world. We are eternally grateful.
Dion's thank you mentioned healthcare professionals, first responders, social workers, as well as essential service providers such as grocery store and delivery workers. And she summed up her message with this plea.
So, please do your part and stay at home. If you must go out, be sure to practice physical distancing. Let's take care of each other, and I know we will get through this together. Be safe, everyone.
Dion herself is self-isolating, and I told you about a concert. Tickets are free. On Saturday, she'll be joining other stars, Stevie Wonder, Jennifer Lopez, Paul McCartney. It's called the One World Together at Home. It's a virtual global concert. Look for it through social media. That video you just saw, incidentally, got 2.5 million views, and it's still rising. In the meantime, got to get out of here. I wish you all good health. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic. Back on Monday in Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.